We are at maybe a minute or so late, I'm afraid, but it is Thursday, the 4th of February. We're here for gentle yoga. I'm going to start on the floor, but if you're at home and you want to sit up in a chair, by all means, grab your chair. If you need blankets nearby you, if you're at home, do that. So get comfortable. If you need to stretch your legs out in front of you, do. If you need to kind of move through your feet a little bit before you settle in to sit comfortably, do. I'm just going to see if this is somebody. Thank you. So be easy. Feel your crown of your head reaching upward, your sitting bones reaching down, and just close your eyes gently, really gently. Let your eyes, so try to just feel really soft through your eyes now. If it helps to bring your gaze down for a little bit, just to let yourself release even more through your and around your eyes, do. And then just accept your breaths in and out through your nose. Feeling the breath coming in and going out, feeling the belly rise and expand as you breathe in. And on your next exhale, let your hands gently come to meet right there in front of your chest. Spread your fingers out a little bit. Enjoy feeling the palms, the fingers touch. Don't force it. Don't press hard, but just enjoy that connection. And then let's inhale the hands up through the midline. Go as high as your shoulders feel like going. Maybe just hands right in front of your face or a little bit higher or all the way up. And then when you exhale, let the hands come back down in front of your heart. So the inhales will rise your hands up. Again, this depends on your shoulders, how high up your hands go. And then on the exhale, they come back down. So moving with your own breath here now. So instead of following my breath, follow your own, the length of your own breaths. Just connecting that simple movement of the hands up and down with your inhales and your exhales. And the next time your hands come back down in front of your chest, let them stay there. And now as you inhale, let the hands go over towards the right, kind of in front of your right shoulder. And as you exhale, bring them back to center. And then again, to the other side, inhaling, letting the hands come across towards the left. And exhale when they come back into center. So again, now with your own breath, you inhale the hands to one side. And the exhale brings them back. So again, you're timing this with your own breath. Let it feel very smooth if you can, so that not only is the movement smooth, but your breath is. Now the next time you exhale your hands back into center. We're going to try this. We're going to inhale the hands off towards the right and then bring them up and over the top, kind of like a Ferris wheel, and exhale when the hands go back down the other side. So again, with your own breath, you inhale as the hands come to one side and up and over the top, then you exhale as they head back down. So just be mindful. Let it, again, feel nice and smooth and easy. Doesn't have to be big. Next time you come back down to the bottom in front of your chest here, reverse your circles. finish off so that the next time the hands are back down, you're right there with your hands in front of your chest. And let's unfold our arms and let yourself shake your hands out a little bit, circle your wrists a little bit, be easy. Even let your arms feel kind of loose and shake them out a little bit. And then sitting up nice and tall, let's take a nice inhale here. And on the exhale, twist to your right. Let yourself bring your left hand around, whether it's to your right knee or to your midline. Lengthen up, wake up the spine here. Inhaling here. And on the exhale, we'll come on back around through center and come off into the other direction. Feel the chin parallel to the floor so you have that space, length in the back of your throat. One more inhale. And on the exhale, make your way on back into center. Let's clasp our hands behind us here now. And then just come a little bit forward. If you're cross-legged on the floor, flex your feet, press down into the outside edges of your feet a little bit. So you're engaged into your hips. And if you're in your chair, press into the bottoms of your feet, right? So you're just pressing down, engaging your legs and your hips as you come a little bit forward. Good. One more breath. And then we'll rise on back up. And we are going to switch to the leg that's in front if we're cross-legged, so you can stretch your legs out if you need to before you bring your other leg in front. And again, bring your hands behind you. Flex your feet. Press into the outside edges of the feet down into the ground a little bit, or the bottoms of your feet if you're in your chair. And come on forward again. So that front hip, when you come into a forward bend like this, usually gets the most. So just take your time. Let yourself wake up the hips a little bit. Feel the length of the spine. Imagine almost like you're leading a little bit with your chest. So your shoulders are nice and wide and open. One more breath. And then we'll rise on back up. Let our hands come on out beside us. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And now inhale your arms straight out from your shoulders. Turn your palms up towards the ceiling. Let your elbows be a little bit soft, but feel that openness here now across your chest, across your upper back. And then bend your elbows and let your fingertips come to the tops of your shoulders. And then let your right elbow come up a little bit higher, your left elbow lower, and come into a little bit of a side stretch there. And then we'll come on back up, and we're going to let the left elbow come up and the right elbow come down. Feel your side waist a little bit there. And then inhale, rise yourself on back up, unfold your arms on down beside you here now. And if you're on the floor, stretch your legs out. Same thing if you're in your chair, if you can. Knees can be bent a little bit. Move through your ankles so that you circle your feet around, however you want to do that. Good. And then from here, just sit up nice and tall. Bring your hands on down beside you, so into staff pose, where you feel like that capital printed letter L, which is not really the easiest pose. But if you can think about feeling open across your chest, you can feel your sitting bones in the floor. Feel your heels drawing back towards you a little bit if you're on the floor. And let yourself feel engaged in your legs. Press into your feet if you're in your chair. So one more breath here. And then let yourself release. Shake it out a little bit. We're going to come around onto our hands and knees. Or if you want to be up off the floor, use the seat of your chair. And if you don't want to be on your knees on the floor, but you're okay to be on hands and knees, use your blanket under your knees if you need, right? So take your time. I'm going to bring my chair on over so I can use it in a second. Take your time and let yourself get your hands comfortable, whether you need to come onto fists or you need to put a blanket even under your hands. And then just start to move your way through your cat-cow. Just take your time. Let the spine just feel like it's flowing through. The tailbone initiates, and then you just imagine just flowing up through the spine towards your cat or towards your cow. appreciate the movement through the spine, and also think about the muscles alongside of your spine. Helping it stay in place, you're warming them up. Good. We'll finish off the one we're on, and then come on back to a more neutral spine now. And now just look over to your right. Let your right hand come up if you can. Maybe you just want to reach your hand straight out so your arm's parallel to the floor. Or maybe, and it's straight out to the side of you, straight out from your shoulder. And if you want, you can even raise it up higher if that feels okay in your shoulder. And then we'll bring it back down, and we'll go left arm straight out again to the side of you, straight out from your shoulder. Whether it rises up higher and higher is up to you. And your hips might shift a little bit, it's fine. You're just opening up through the shoulders here. And then let yourself release on back down. And we're gonna step forward with our left foot to find our first lunge. So whether you wanna use your blocks, or any height of your blocks, of course, or bring yourself up to hands on the seat of a chair, or even on the back of a chair. If you need to be higher, be higher. Take your time, let yourself enjoy. Find that length through the back body. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. And, you know, if you need to switch your hands around a little bit to be comfortable in your wrists, you can do fingertips, flat hands, fists. And now we're going to switch legs to come to the other side. So whether you like to step forward or back, that is totally up to you. Just make sure that front knee is aligned there, no farther forward than your ankle. Imagine your inner right thigh dropping down towards the floor, which lines your knee up even better, and the back left inner thigh reaching up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to switch again. So this time, if you feel like you want to lift your left hand up or forearm up to your thigh, you can. You don't need to. But if it feels good to give yourself a little bit more into the legs and the hips, you can. And coming hands back down, we're going to switch again. So as your right foot comes forward, you get yourself set up in your lunge. If it feels good to bring that right hand or forearm up onto your thigh, you can. Again, imagine those inner thighs now. The front one drops down, the back one reaches up towards the ceiling. Good. And then hands back down, we'll step forward and come on into standing forward bend. Be mindful. Now, you know, you can use blocks under your hands. You know that. You can have your hands on the chair. But see if you can keep your hands somewhere grounded, whether it's the floor or the blocks or the chair, right in front of you. And then let your shoulders and your torso just shift a little bit one side to the other. So it's not a big, huge movement. Still feeling your feet equal in the floor. And then come on back into center here. And say about letting go through your face and your jaw now, right? So imagine just really letting the weight of the head help you release your neck too, but really allowing your face to soften and your throat, let go through your throat, your jaw released. One more breath. And then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips, press into our feet. We're going to rise straight on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Coming into mountain pose here. So take your time, get situated there, feet underneath you. Let the hands gently come, again, together in front of your heart if you moved them away. And spread your fingers a little bit. Feel that connection here through the hands. And now, a couple of times, do what we did when we first started. Inhale your hands up through the midline, only as high as you want. And on the exhale, let them come right back down in front of your chest, in front of your heart. So just a couple of movements with the breath there. And now the next time you come back down with your hands, let them stay there. Come into your mountain pose here, feeling very equal between your feet, feeling that stack up process, hips over ankles, shoulders over hips. If you're swaying a little bit, it's fine. Just let the body enjoy finding its alignment here. Tailbone, remember, is reaching down towards between your heels. And then we'll unfold our arms right down beside us. This inhale, the arms come out like wings all the way up overhead. And on the exhale, we'll bend our knees and come forward into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long back, wherever you want your hands to go. Your legs, your blocks, your chair. And we'll step the right foot back, coming into lunge. Draw your shoulders away from your ears and press the feet gently away from each other. Inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So as you come into your dog of choice, whether hands are up on the chair or down on the floor or on blocks, it doesn't matter. Get comfortable in your shoulders. Let your elbows hug towards each other a little bit. Reach back equally through your sitting bones. Enjoy that length of your spine. And on the next inhale, we'll come out towards a plank. And you know, it is up to you, whether you put your knees down or your forearms down. Coming into your plank the way that feels good for you. Good. And then we'll come back to down dog. So as you reach back, walk a little bit if you need, bend your knees if you need to. And then we'll bring the right foot forward to come into lunge. So whatever you need to do in order to get into that lunge. Press your feet away from each other, draw your shoulders down. Good, and then come on forward again, back into your standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Think about your feet for a second. Make sure you're not rolling to the outside or the insides of your feet. Feel your sitting bones over your heels. Knees can be soft, remember. Knees can be a little bent, knees can be straighter. That's up to you. Just don't lock your knees. You don't want to get the sense that you're pushing into the backs of the knees, locking them up there. And if you like to hold your elbows, go right ahead. If that's too much, you know, use support however you need. Inhaling into the ribs, feeling them expand. On the exhales, imagine the top of the head getting closer towards the ground. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips and bend our knees. We're going to rise on up to standing. Inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms down behind us now. Clasp your hands. Now for a second, really bend your elbows and squeeze your palms towards each other. You know, if that bothers your shoulder, don't do it, right? But if you can, just squeeze. So you're actually squeezing your hands, your palms together, feeling activated into your biceps and your shoulders too. And then release the palms apart. Let the hands drift down a little bit more so the arms are a little bit longer. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, bend your knees and come on forward. Now stay parallel to the floor for a second. So you have about a 90-degree angle. Bend your knees a little bit and send your tailbone back. So that'll keep you from tucking the tailbone downward. It changes the angle of your pelvis. Send your tailbone back. Find that nice long back here. And now if you want to keep going forward over your legs, go for it. Otherwise, you can stay right there parallel to the floor. And if any of you want to release your arms off your back, you can. Coming into where your shoulders allow. One more breath. And then we'll release our arms on down. Let your next inhale help you find that long, flat back. And this time we'll step the left foot back to come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So again, you know your own shoulders better than anyone. So take your time. Don't do anything that's uncomfortable. Let yourself enjoy that sense of reaching back through your tailbone so you have that length through the spine. Bending the knees is fine. And And then we'll come on out towards that plank. Again, whether you do a forearm plank or put your knees down and do a half plank. If you'd like to do push-ups, you know, you can bend your elbows and let yourself come a little bit more into your arms and your shoulders. Remember yoga style push-ups, elbows hug in a little bit towards your ribs instead of going out beside you. And then we'll come on back into down dog again. And from here, we'll bring the left foot forward, however you need to get it there to find that lunge. And then we'll step all the way back into standing forward bend. Feet right underneath us. Bend your knees if you need. Let yourself use support, whatever helps, so your back's okay. And then let your head be heavy if possible, as long as it doesn't hurt your back. And then just accept your breaths as fully and deeply as you can. But see if you can think about your inhales and exhales evening out a little bit in length. So if you count when you inhale and think of reaching close to that same count, or even a little bit longer on your exhales if you want. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips. We're going to bend our knees, rise on up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Sit back into a little chair pose here. So let your torso come a little forward, like there is a chair behind you and you're about to sit in it. It can be as high up of a chair as you want. Because once you bend your knees a little bit, press down into your feet, you feel your thighs working, right? If you want to go lower, you can. Like there really is a chair back there, and you're about to sit in it, but it's lower than you think, right? So again, feel those thighs engaging. One more breath. And then press into the feet. Rise on up. Let's inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms and come on forward into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale lengthen your spine out. From here, we're going to walk into downward facing dog pose. So hands are the height you like to be on in your down dog. And then you just make your way back. And on the next inhale, come on out to plank. Totally optional to add any kind of back bend here. If you'd like to come to the floor and go on your forearms, you can do a sphinx. You can come through if you'd like towards an up dog or a cobra, or no back bend at all. And then we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. Take your time, walk a little bit in dog, let your head turn a little bit side to side if you can. Maybe even you might just want to wag your tail a little bit. Just move a little, what feels good. And come on back to full dog, and on the next inhale, we'll come back out to that plank. And again, it is totally optional to add a back bend of any kind. You're more than welcome to stay in your plank or to let yourself do push-ups if you'd rather. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. Good, we're going to bring the right foot forward to find lunge. And then we'll come all the way back into standing forward bend. Feet right underneath. Hips distance apart and parallel. Right to your breaths. All the way in. Stay with your breath as you follow the breath with your awareness. All the way in and all the way out. So that is your focus. Your breath. And then letting our hands come on back up to our hips. We'll bend our knees, press into our feet, rise up, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. So lift your elbows up just for a second. So your hands come a little more firmly together. You feel your wrists a little bit there. If it hurts your wrists, don't push hard. Just find a little more engagement there. And then softly let the elbows sink back down. Let yourself find your mountain pose here. Imagine you're breathing in and out through every pore of your skin for a couple of breaths. So it's like the body would be renewed all over at the same time. When you breathe in energizing you really. And then we'll go ahead and let our arms come on down beside us, shake out a little bit if you need to walk around you. And if you want to use your chair, you might want to turn it around. We're going to step our right foot back and come into Warrior Two. So blocks, if you need them, have them there towards the front of the mat, or your chair can give you support if you're a little bit balance off today. And then line up your heels. Bend that left knee. Let yourself look at your left knee. Make sure you're lined up there. And we'll reach out into those long Warrior Two arms, bringing your gaze right out over the top of your left hand. For a second, let your fingers all come together and your thumbs come in. So that, not fists, but they're flat. The palms are facing down still, but you're kind of squeezing your fingers towards each other. And then spread your fingers way out, like if you were trying to reach an octave on the piano, right? Really feel that sense. And then from there, let your hands just kind of wiggle around a little bit. Wiggle your fingers. And then start to reach out without tension or without feeling like you're squeezing into your fingers at all, right? Now let's turn our left palm up and inhale, reach up towards the sky with the left hand. Right hand gives you a little support back there. You can look up, or if your neck bothers you, look forward. One more inhale. And on the exhale, come into your side angle where your left hand or forearm is on your thigh. Maybe you want to go lower, maybe you want to stay up higher. If you can swing the right arm on up into line with the right side of the body, do. And if your shoulder's telling you not to do that, don't do it. Keep the hand down. Or bring the arm straight up from your shoulder if that's better, right? Whatever your shoulder allows you to do. And we're going to come on back into Warrior Two from there, pressing the feet away from each other as we come. Good. Letting our hands come down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel here. So adjust the width of your stance, at least wider than your shoulders a little bit, but if you want to go farther, do. And when you start to come forward into this wide-legged forward bend, you might want to grab blocks. So take your time. Go ahead and bend a knee at a time once you get your stance kind of established. And be mindful. Let it feel really good. You can be up as high as you want to be. You can stack blocks up. You can have your hands down more towards the ground. And now come on back into center and take your time. Actually bend your knees and let your elbows come above your knees for a second. And you're looking straight down at the floor, so you're nice, long, flat back there in that squat. And then let your right shoulder just reach across like you're reaching it towards your left foot. Obviously, it's not going to go anywhere near your left foot, but just ease your way across a little bit there. And then come back to center and do the left shoulder, kind of reaching over towards the right. And then come back into center again. And now set yourself up to be in your pose for breath. So, you know, you can stack your blocks and have hands on the blocks so you're up higher and your back is long. You can stack them to where you can get down your forearms if you'd rather and keep your back long, or you can keep your hands on blocks, you know that. Or you can let yourself release more hands towards the floor if you're comfortable to do that. And let your breath be easy. And you're just watching the breath coming in and going out. Now think about your face softening again, letting go through your jaw. Imagine relaxing your throat. Good. And now we're going to walk our hands back out if they were back underneath us. To rise up, you decide. Hands to your thighs can help you press up. You can bring your feet more together before you come up. And then take your time. Move around a little bit through your feet and your ankles. So if you can turn to the tops of your toes or circle your feet around a little bit and walk around, it sure helps the feet after warriors. So we're going to go the other side for that. Warrior Two, left foot back. And Again, lining up that right foot with the long edge of the mat about parallel to it, and then back foot is about parallel to the back edge of your mat. And then bending that right knee. Take your time. Let yourself feel really comfortable in the length of your stance, that front knee bent over the center of the foot. And then rise your arms on up and out again. And this time, let's just let the hands circle, right? So if your shoulders bother you, you need the hands to go lower, just take your time, circle the other direction with hands. And then when you're ready, reaching out. Again, trying not to feel a sense of tension in your hands and your fingers. It's just like you're reaching out to the wall in front of you and behind you with your fingertips, shoulders softening down. Feet pressing gently away from each other on the mat, like you're trying to make your mat longer. And then we'll turn that right palm up and inhale, reach up, breathing into that right side of the body. Remember, if your neck bothers you, you can look forward. You don't have to look up. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come into that side angle. So look, right hand or forearm onto your thigh. Depends on you how low you want to go. If adding the left arm up is good, you have to find how that works for you, right? So arm can be in line with the palm facing towards the ground. You can have the arm straight up from your shoulder. If the palm facing forward feels good, do that. So take your time, let yourself enjoy finding the length through both sides of the body. One more breath. And then we'll come on back into Warrior Two. Pressing those feet away from each other gets us right back up into our Warrior Two strongly. And then we'll bring our hands down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel again. So again, adjust your stance. Grab your blocks if you need as you come on down. Let yourself release a little bit. Bend a knee at a time if it feels good. And then we'll let ourselves come back to center and walk over towards the right. Whether you just walk your blocks over or you walk your hands on the floor towards your right foot. Once you get there, as far as you want to go, put your right hand on up on your right hip. And if you want to roll the shoulder up a little bit and look up a little bit towards the ceiling, you can. You don't need to. And then we'll bring the hand back down, right hand down. We're going to walk back through center. And again, you can shift your blocks a little over to the left. You can walk over towards your foot. Once you get as far as you want to go, if you can put your left hand up on your left hip, do. And if you like to roll the shoulder up and look up a little more towards the ceiling, you can. And then we'll come on back down. Walk our hands back in towards center. And then take your time here. Get how you're really comfortable, right? And you might want to experiment a little bit. You might want to let your elbows be above your knees, or you might want to keep your hands or forearms on blocks in front of you. You might want to hold your ankles. Or have your hands between your feet. Full breaths. All the way in, all the way out again. Remember, focusing on that wave of your breath. Really letting the upper body release. One more breath. And now slowly to come up. Again, if you need to bring your feet together first, you can use your hands to help you press up and then walk those feet together. And again, if you need to walk around a little bit, shake your feet out, do. And we're going to come into Warrior One this time. If you need the back of your chair at home, leave it turned that way for Warrior One. If not, you might want to turn the seat of the chair to face you. And have your blocks handy right here by the front of your mat, because we're going to step forward towards the front of the mat and then step our right foot back for that Warrior One. So again, if you needed the support of the chair for balance, you can have the chair right there and have it under your hands, right? Bring the shoulders around square towards the front of your mat and let your arms come on down. Turn your palms forward. And then just rise the hands a little more forward. So instead of them coming right down from your shoulders, they're a little bit forward, but they're very low. And you're just able to feel like your arms are growing out of your back. letting your gaze stay forward here, feeling your shoulders over your hips. But think about the arches of both feet lifting up here in your warrior one. So the four corners of both feet are into the floor. If you can lift your toes all up, do it. And then let the toes come on down. Keep rising the arms forward and up here now. Now this depends on you. You may want to get them all the way up and let the palms end up facing each other into a wide V. Or you may want to keep the arms forward with the palms more up. This is all into what your shoulders will do. And you can look up if you feel good to do that. Imagining there's a bar right at the base of your shoulder blades, kind of holding you up so you go up and over it a little bit. No compression in the low back. There's no sense of the low back having any sort of feeling of discomfort here. One more breath. Belly is lifted. And then we'll lower our arms on down. We're going to straighten that left knee out. Let your hands come onto your hips. And now as you think of coming forward, think about drawing, with your belly, drawing these two hip pointer bones towards each other. So you're engaged. And maybe you're only going to come like a couple of inches, and that might be enough without putting your hands down. Thighs are lifting upward. You're more than welcome to go lower if you want. If you want to put your hands onto your back because it feels really good, you can do that. So take your time so that when you do get ready to put your hands down, you're like, I really need to put my hands down, and you can bring them down to any surface you want, to your chair, to your blocks, any height. Once you do get your hands down into pyramid, you can let the back foot change a little bit if you need to. Change your stance shorter or longer if you need. And now again, once you're here with your hands down, lengthen out through your spine and imagine using your belly to draw the two hip pointer bones towards each other. Now once you have that kind of feeling going on, send your tailbone back a little bit more. And then when your belly's working and you do that, I mean, it's intense. There's your core, your belly, your low back. Of course, your legs are talking to you. One more breath here. And then if you like to bow over that front leg when you exhale, go ahead and do. Let yourself release. And if that's too much, don't do it. One more breath. And then come up a little more parallel to the floor. We're going to bend that left knee to step our right foot forward and get our feet right under us. Now you still have your hands down. You're still nice and long with your spine. Okay? Let yourself start to feel like you're going to lift your right foot up, which you're going to do. But that means the left foot's got to come to a place where when you lift your right foot up off the floor with your knee bent, you're fine. That post leg is in the right place. And then stretch that right leg long into Warrior 3 behind you so that you have that sense of toes facing down, hips level. If you're able to put your left hand up on your back there and check and see that you're not lifting that right leg up too high, you can. You don't have to. You can keep your left hand down. If you want to even stretch the left arm forward, you can, into your Warrior 3. Or put the hand somewhere else, to your heart, whatever feels good. One more breath, probably had enough, and then we'll bring the hand down, we'll bring the foot down. Now, you can kind of squat back just a little bit, put your elbows above your knees to release, or you can go all the way down into a squat if you want. So if you feel like your knees let you, you want to go down lower into a squat to release there, do. Good. And then we're going to rise up, so take your time. Let yourself just come on up to standing. And once you get up, shake your hands out a little bit, walk around a little bit, and we're going to prepare to do the other side. So I'm going to switch around here, but you all just let yourself get the blocks again in the place where you can get to them. And step forward towards the front of your mat. So that when you step that left foot back for Warrior 1, you might need to feel like you're going a little wider stance, like you're on mini railroad tracks, or you might not, right? Hips are around pretty square when you're in a short stance, and then shoulders are square. And unfold again, the arms just a little bit forward of you, so that you feel really easy. Like the arms are growing out of your back. Just take your time. Feel your shoulders over your hips. And now, as you start to rise the arms on up, again, everybody's shoulders are different. You may just stay low with your arms more forward, palms up. You may want to bring the arms up more overhead with the palms facing each other. Now again, if you can get that lift at the base of the shoulder blades. Feeling that lift to the belly, but there's that sense of release in the low back. One more breath. And then we'll release, bring the arms on down, straightening this right leg out. If you need to adjust your stance before you even think about squaring your hips off and coming forward, do. You can put your hands on your hips and you can feel the thighs lifting upward as you come forward. Now when you do, you really want to let yourself keep engaged. Don't put the hands down if you can help it. If you can go farther, do, but if you can't, just stay. Keep working the legs. Feel the thighs engaging up so you have space in your knees. And then of course when you are ready to bring your hands down to a surface, you decide what height. And of course you may decide to change the length of your stance in your pyramid. That's up to you. So now, again, it's that squareness of the hips. So use your belly. Draw your hip pointer bones towards each other. And then imagine your tailbone reaching farther back behind you. Now, it's a lot of work. Back heel is fully on the floor. If you like to, on your next exhale, bow forward over that leg. You can. Not necessary. Good. One more breath. And now come on back up if you were folded forward. We're going to bend the front knee, step to get our feet right underneath our hips, and set your hands up under you where they're under your shoulders and you're fine to be, whether it's on blocks of the chair. And then take your time. Remember, you're going to imagine here lifting the left foot up off the floor first before you do it. Right? So take your time. And then when you do start to extend the leg back long, toes are facing down. And you can decide whether putting your hand up there is okay on your low back. If you just rest the back of your hand there, you can kind of tell if you've got that foot up too high. So that you don't want that left buttocks to be higher than the right one, in other words. And you don't have to do that part. And then you can stretch your right arm forward if you want a little bit more. Take your time. Good. And then we're going to release back down. Now to squat, to release, that's up to you. Again, it can be elbows above the knees, hands on the chair or the blocks, or you can turn your toes out and squat down if you want to. Down so low if you know it's too much on your knees, your hips. Good. Now, of course, when you're down like this, you got to come back up. So let your hips rise up and get your feet right underneath you again. Get yourself really lined up there, and then bend your knees. Bring your hands to your hips. We're going to rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Enjoy your mountain pose. Let it be just that quiet strength. It's a very peaceful pose. And even if you feel like, you're swaying around a little bit, it's okay. Just enjoy feeling the energy flowing through your body. Let your body adjust itself a little bit so you're kind of getting out of your own way. And then we'll go ahead and let our arms come down. Nice. Shake everything out. Move around if you need to. We are going to bring our mats into a wall now. So you can be done with your chair. Let yourself bring a mat into the wall. And be really careful with this. We're going to do a little bit of shoulder work here at the wall first. So turning to face the wall and letting yourself bring your right hand out onto the wall, straight out from your shoulder, and your fingertips only are touching the wall, right? So instead of your palm being into the wall, just lift the palm away and be on the tips of your thumbs and fingertips. And then for a second here, just rest your forehead in the wall. Let yourself release. And put your left hand on your left hip or your low back if you want. and start to turn to your left. Now your feet and everything move so that you're turning yourself away from that arm. And don't go too far, right? You may go like just barely turning sort of at an angle to the wall and be really, that's enough, right? Or you may want to go farther to where you turn even more. Don't push it. It's a very intense shoulder stretch as you press gently into the wall. And now see if you can bring the hand up about another 6 to 10 inches, right? So it's coming up on a diagonal line kind of there. And if your hand starts to feel funny or it feels wrong, don't do it. You can come up even higher with your hand, a little bit higher, pressing into the wall. And then see if you can turn all the way sideways to the wall with your right hand directly up over your shoulder. Now again, this is up to you and your shoulder. And it's kind of like, think about almost as you're on your fingertips, like you're hanging down from a bar or something, right? You're holding on to something. So your arm is a little engaged here. Good. We're going to slowly turn back into the wall. Lower that arm down as you turn all the way back to face the wall. Put the right hand on your right hip. Put your left hand out, fingertips on the wall. Put your head into the wall for a second. Let it feel good. Release as you kind of look down a little to release your neck. And now as you start to turn away from this one, you're turning to your right, your feet and everything. Press gently into the fingertips there. And you can put your right hand on your hip or behind you. That's up to you. Be comfortable, all right, wherever you have that right hand. And then press in. Now kind of almost imagine for a second that you're isometrically drawing down a little bit with your hand. It's very intense. So don't go too long or hard. Go up a little bit higher with the arm if you can. Pressing in to the wall a little bit. And then see if you can go up even a little bit higher with the hand, pressing in. And now if you can turn all the way your left side wall, with your arm up over it and your fingertips on the wall and your tips of your thumb on the wall. Press in. And again, imagine that you're holding onto a bar. You're hanging, right? So you're engaged now. It's pretty intense. One more breath. And then turn to face the wall. Bring your arms straight down, arms right out onto the wall, down your shoulders here now. And then step back into a plank. So you're going to step your feet back. And you can come to fist if your wrists are saying, no, I'm not going to do that extreme wrist thing there, then don't do it. Look at your hands on the wall and spread your fingers and look at your pointer fingers. Think about your pointer fingers getting parallel to each other. And see, that might be different. You might have more your middle fingers parallel, but just for fun, try this. Think about your pointer fingers being parallel to each other. And then bend your elbows and come into a little push-up here. You don't have to go far. And then come back out. Now, when you bend your elbows, think about that you're squeezing a beach ball together between your elbows, both when you go into the push-up and when you come out. So let yourself do one more. And then come out to straighter arms, bend your knees, and shift your hips back just a little bit so you let your triceps stretch out for a breath. And now inhale back into your plank. And we're going to do 3. We're going to bend the elbows and come in and come back out again. We're going to bend the elbows again and come in and come back out again. And we're going to bend the elbows again and come back out again. And then we're going to shift the hips back, bend the knees. Doesn't matter how far you go. Let yourself lengthen through your spine. Stretch out your triceps. How about we go for 1 more? Coming on out. 3 more. So bending your elbows and coming back out again. And bending your elbows in towards each other and coming back out again. And then 1 more time. You're probably going to kill me at the end of this day. And then shift your way back. Bend your knees if you need. Stretch your triceps out. Nice. And then walk on back into the wall. Take your hands off the wall. Circle around. Make little loose fists with your hands. And let them circle both ways. Shake out. And we are going to come down onto our bellies on our mats on the floor from here. So let yourself come down. Rest for a second there with your hands stacked up if you can. If this is uncomfortable for you in any way, adjust, right? If you don't want to put your forehead on your hands, Do what you need to do where you can really release, okay? You can put a blanket underneath your face if you want, under your forehead. But anyway, just let your legs go, let your hips release. Breathe into your low back. It should feel really good. And we're going to bring our elbows under our shoulders and come on into Sphinx pose. For a second, let your palms face each other. So your pinky fingers are on the floor. And your palms are just looking at each other, right? Just press gently down into the elbows, the forearms a little bit there. Engage your belly. Good. And then turn your palms down. Spread your fingers a little bit. That sense again like you're trying to reach an octave on a piano. And enjoy. One more breath. And now, lower your forehead down to your left forearm. It's going to turn parallel to the front edge of your mat. Put your head down again on your arm, and then bend your right knee, flex your right foot for a little half bow, right? So you might be happy right here, just flexing the foot with your head down. You might feel fine to rise your head a little bit off your arm. There's a back bend right there. Some of you I know are just really itching to reach back and get your foot. So if you feel good to reach back and get hold of your foot, you can. You can pull the heel in a little bit gently towards your buttocks. And then you can press into your hand if you have your foot there. If you want to go higher into a back bend, you can use that left forearm to draw back towards your waist a little bit and go up higher. That's up to you. One more breath here. And then we're going to release and come down. And we're going to switch arms. So at first, put your head on your right forearm, bend your left knee and flex the foot. Stay here for a minute. Give your body time. So you may decide, oh, I'm just staying here forever, right? You may think about floating your forehead up a little off your arm. There's a half bow variation there. Or of course you can reach back and get hold of your ankle or the top of your foot. And if you do have the foot, you might want to draw the heel in without resisting. And then here the back bend part comes more into play when you press that foot into your hand like you're trying to straighten your leg out. That might lift your upper body up higher, even without your arm doing anything, right? Or you can bring your arm back more towards your waist and come up higher if you want. Good. So one more breath. And then we're going to release on down. And from here, bring your arms down alongside you. And inhale up into a little locust pose. Keep the gaze down towards the ground so your neck is released. One more breath. And then release back down. Now you can do that again. On the next inhale, float up. Some of you might want to reach back and get hold of both your feet and lift your head up and your chest up into a bow pose. Or some of you may want to keep your legs long and locust. So you pick what feels fine for you. And then we'll release to come on back down. And we're going to make our way back towards pose of a child. So be easy as you do. Shift your way back. And stay forward, more onto your forearms if you need to. Remember, your knees can be as far apart as feels good for you. And you can leave your arms soft overhead. You can bring your arms back alongside your legs with the palms up. Just be mindful. Let it be easy. Enjoy your breath coming in and going out. Feel the low back expanding when you breathe in. Good. So one more breath there. And then letting your hands come back by your knees. We're going to rise on up. And we're going to turn onto our mat sideways. So if you know sitting up on a blanket is better for you, doesn't matter which direction you turn, we're going to bring our legs out into a wide angle. So you can, I have a pole behind me, so I can't do this, but if you sit off your mat back behind and then let your legs come forward at less of an angle, that's fine too. So you want to be able to sit where your knees and your toes face up in your wide angle. And let yourself just enjoy feeling a little bit. Now, as we come forward a little, you'll feel more in your inner thighs, but if you pull your heels to the floor and draw them back towards you, you're engaged in your legs here. And then when you think about a little bit of forward movement, you're going to feel a little more both in your hamstrings and in your inner thighs. So it's the idea of coming forward a little bit from your low back. You can keep your hands on your legs. You can put them down in front of you if you want, or grab a block to put in front of you. Let it feel like a release. So if you come forward and you're like, well, this absolutely does not feel like any kind of release, you know, you can come up a little bit and then move a little bit if that helps ease you into the pose a little deeper and easier. Take your time, come on back up to sitting nice and tall. And now bring your left hand onto your left leg and slide it down just a little bit. Let your right hand come to your hip and just ease your way into a bit of a side stretch there, right? So you really feel a little more right here in your side waist maybe, right? Than going really deep and adding the arm and everything. Good, and now turn to look at your left leg. See if you can bring both hands towards the leg. Bow your head a little bit. Just let yourself release there. And then turn back to that right hand to the hip into that little bit of a side waist stretch there. We'll let the right shoulder come back up. Good, we're going to rise back up to the top and then go to the other side. So sliding that hand down and letting yourself first left hand on the hip and draw the left shoulder up a little bit. Doesn't have to be far. And then come up enough where you can turn to be out over that right leg. And again, your hands can rest wherever you want. I mean, you could slide down towards your foot if you want. That's up to you. You'll feel your hamstring. And then we're going to release back, left hand to the hip and rolling that left shoulder up into that little bit of a side stretch there. And then we'll come on back up to the top. Good. And then bring your hands behind you. I'm going to step forward, sorry. And from here, let yourself just draw your chest forward a little bit, right? Now, be aware of what your legs are doing. Because sometimes when you put your hands back here and open the chest, your legs want to roll backwards, right? The toes facing back. Try to keep your toes and your knees facing up towards the ceiling. And opening up through the front body here. Good. And then release to come up, to bring your legs on around in front of you. Go ahead and bend your knees and let yourself just release here a little bit, knees side to side. So you can widen and go way down low with the knees if you want, or you can just let them go a little bit like this, right? So, you know, that's up to you. If you feel like it feels really good to come down to the floor with the knees and be that way into stretching out through your quads, you can, but not necessary, right? You might feel like you'd rather do this. Good. And then from here, knees are going to come back up, and we're going to lie down on our backs on the floor. So take your time, come on down, bring your feet onto the floor so that when you get down, you've got yourself released there to do a couple of little pelvic tilts. So feet are on the floor a little bit wider, kind of like you do in your bridge pose. The feet are parallel, and when you exhale, just curl your tailbone up a little bit. Feel that sense of the low back. Really, the sacrum just comes flat onto the floor. Keep it deep and low if you can though. So don't think about lifting your hips up at all. The tailbone and the sit bones curl upward. Good. And then release back to neutral spine. Bring your arms down alongside your body here and let yourself turn your palms down. Press into the backs of the arms. Lift your hips up a little bit, just enough to get your hands under yourself and to clasp them. So your hands are clasped and you're lifted up with your hips. Now, if that's enough for you, don't go any higher with the hips. But if you can keep your hands clasped, roll your shoulders under more, and rise up more into a higher bridge, go right ahead. If not, just experiment with this hands clasp underneath you, just for fun, right? If you're like, oh, good grief, my shoulders don't do that, don't do it. Take your hands apart. And, sometimes it's just fun to play a little bit differently with your arms in your bridge pose. You can release whenever you want. Let yourself come down, of course, whenever you want. Good. So one more breath if you're still up there. We're going to come down at the end of that. So letting yourself release on down. Once you get down, cross your right thigh over your left thigh and bring your thighs in towards you. Flex through both your feet. You can hold on wherever you want. Your top knee, your bottom knee, behind a thigh or the bottom or the top thigh. Just to let your hip release a little bit there. And then we'll put the feet back down and uncross, and we'll go to the other side. So thigh over thigh, and then bringing the knees in, flex through the feet. Again, you might want to hold behind your thigh or one of the thighs or the other, or one of the knees you might want to hold or the other. Good, and then we'll bring the feet down and uncross the legs. Bring your arms out beside you. And from here, bring your right knee in towards your chest. Stretch your left leg down long on the floor. And now, without using your hand, let that knee come over towards the left into a twist. Now, you may decide you just want to barely go over a little bit with the knee. You may want to reach farther over, put your right foot on the floor with your knee bent. Or you might feel like it's fun to extend your leg out long. I mean, if that feels really good to you to get into the leg a little bit more in the twist, you pick, right? Kind of experiment a little bit. Keep your right shoulder grounded on towards the ground there. And then we're going to bring the knee back in towards the chest, flex through both your feet. And now bring your left knee in to the chest. Put your right foot on the floor at first. Adjust for a second. And then extend the right leg long on the floor. Flex through both the feet still. And then as you start to come across to the right with that left leg, you decide in this twist how deep you want to go. Whether you feel like you want to extend your leg out long or keep the knee bent. You may even want to put the foot on the floor. That's up to you. You may want to stretch your leg long and reach your left foot into your right hand, right? I mean, that's a very deep twist. So take your time wherever you want to be there. And then when you're ready to come back into center, bring both knees on in towards your chest. And then separate your knees a little wider. Send your feet up for a little happy baby. You can have your hands behind the outside of your thighs and on the back of your thighs if you want to press your thighs down towards the ground or pull them down with your hands. Or you can reach up and get your feet. And of course, moving in happy babies, totally optional. Rolling a little bit, maybe stretching your legs out long some. Just play, If you were a baby playing here on your back, there's all kinds of things you could do. So take your time. Let yourself find a release that you need. And if the happy baby pose isn't it for you, find what works. Be really mindful of just starting to really listen to what your body's telling you. I'll start to walk around here at the studio for those of you who like bolsters for underneath your knees, but take your time. If you're still doing a pose, by all means let yourself do it. Or movement, remember it doesn't have to be a yoga pose. You're welcome. Mindful and take your time to wiggle your way into Shavasana if you need, right? So if you need to move your arms or your legs to a little bit different place to be more comfortable, do it. And just be easy. Let yourself be with your own breath. Accepting your inhales and your exhales. Your breath will start to quiet down as you just let yourself respond physically and mentally to that. Shavasana is really just about giving yourself time to benefit from all you just did by finding those quiet places that come in when you focus on your breath. So give yourself these few minutes. Trust that your body will get what it needs from all you just did. Let yourself completely and fully relax. to the floor and allowing your breath to gradually deepen, lengthen. Imagine those breaths really coming in to refresh your whole body. So that when you're ready to move, your extremities, your fingers and your toes, your hands, your feet might want to wiggle and move around. You come up to the arms and legs doing what you need to do. Stretch if you need, and you know you're welcome to roll to either your right or your left side if you're comfortable to do that, into a soft fetal position, and give your back a little time to adjust, and your brain too. And you can stay on your back, just be mindful and let it feel good to come back into feeling physical again after finding that quietness. And when you're ready to rise up, come up to sit however feels good for your hips, whether it's stretching your legs out or sitting cross-legged or sitting on a blanket or two if you need to, or a block. Just let your arms get really comfortable, however you release your hands, whether you turn your palms up or you rest your hands where it feels really the best for your own shoulders. Come back to your breath. And on your next exhale, let your hands just come gently and easily to meet there in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Happy Thursday.